Hello, everyone. I'm back. Did you miss me? I'm still over here with you people staring up my nose. Welcome to the Passive Wealth Show. I am Bill Fairman, and Wendy Sweet is giggling in the background. We have a great guest today, Haley Gant of Quest Trust Company. It's a funny story. We first met on a investor cruise ship years and years ago before she ever started with Quest. I'll let her tell the story. Of course, she probably has forgotten by now.
As soon as we get back.
That's right. And then, well, we'll talk about the rest of the story as soon as we come back from this.
Teasers are supposed to be short and sweet, and that is something that Bill does not possess.
Yeah, I don't.
Except in height.
Okay, well, moving along. Thank you so much. Fortunately, we're in different places, as you can tell, so I can't hit her. I do want to get a remote control electrical shock thing
zapper, a collar
on her chair. Anyway, again, thank you so much for joining us on the Passive Wealth Show. We are Carolina Capital Management. We are lenders in the Southeast for real estate investors. If you're thinking about getting a loan for real estate investing, go to carolinahardmoney.com, click on the Apply Now tab. If you're a passive investor looking for passive returns, then click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. All those terms I have no idea, except for the share and the subscribe part. That's because I'm old and I don't remember that kind of stuff.
That's right.
If you have any comments or questions, we have a chat on either the side or the bottom of the screen, depending on the platform you're viewing us from. So without any further ado, I don't get to say that very often. Adieu.
So you know what? And I said this on the last show, and I'll say it again. There are two things that I've always believed that you need to know if you're going to be investing in real estate. Number one is you really need to understand the note business. If you understand the note business, any deal can work. And the other thing is you need to understand how self-directed money works, whether it's an IRA, HSA, ESA, 401k, SEP, whatever it is that you have that's self-directed money.
Don't forget health savings plan.
I said HSA. I'm sorry. I used my slang.
I need the long version.
That's right. But it's amazing that if you know those two things, you can make any deal work and you can raise money. That's the key. Or make money. That's the key. Making money is making money off of the money that you have in your retirement accounts or your health savings accounts. So that's kind of I had to put that out there before we get an opportunity to introduce our great and wonderful guest, Haley Gant.
Yay.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
It's so good to have you here. And Bill had mentioned earlier about how we met you on a cruise. You were a cute little, just out of college co-ed. You still are. You still are cute, but you have a little experience behind you now.
Oh, yes. I'm a real full-fledged adult now.
That's right. She's bona fide, paying her own mortgage. She's a good girl. Investing, and I'm telling you that what's amazing too is how much knowledge you're able to hold in your head when it comes to IRAs, because there's so many rules and they change. They change on you. But I mean, there's a lot you have to know, and I'm sure people are always pounding on you to get more and more information. So really, what in the world were you thinking when you wanted to go work with a self-directed IRA company? I mean, it's not the kind of job that, it's not like working on a cruise ship.
Definitely not. It feels like it sometimes. It's just as chaotic, right? No, but it's actually a funny story how I got started at Quest. So, for those of you guys who don't know me, my name's Haley Gant. I'm an IRA specialist. I've been with Quest for almost 5 years now.
Wow.
Like when Wendy was saying, I pretty much started fresh out of college, but my parents are real estate investors. They've been investing for pretty much almost my entire life. They started investing in real estate when I was in kindergarten. And I'm an only child, so I had no choice but to grow up surrounded by everything real estate, family dinners. We're talking about properties and sellers disclosures and crazy tenants. So I kind of just grew up surrounded by the business and didn't really realize that all of the conversations that were around me my entire life would really kind of help to put me where I am today. Now, my parents are great. They're great investors, but I always knew I did not want to work for my parents. I kind of knew I wanted to do something in real estate. I just didn't know exactly what. So when I graduated from Texas A&M in 2015, I moved home. I worked with my parents for about 6 months because I knew that wasn't what my long-term plan wanted to be, but I knew that I would be stupid to not take advantage of the opportunity to work with my mom and dad and kind of learn about how they've grown their business over the last almost 20 years. And in that time, Quest actually kind of had me on their radar, I guess. They realized that Eddie Gant had a daughter. She was out in the real world now, and they kind of scoped me out and recruited me to come work for the marketing department. Fresh out of college, ended up coming to work for Quest in June of 2015. And honestly, I left my interview with my start date and I never looked back. I called my dad after and I was like, hey, sorry, I'm leaving. I'm going to Quest. And it's really nice how they did it. They approached my dad first, make sure they had his blessing, because you don't want to do it wrong, right? And it was really cool. My parents were really excited for me to kind of go out there on my own. And turns out, me being young and excited and everything, I ended up moving to Dallas 3 months after I started working at Quest. I had just passed my 3-month review and I ended up moving to Dallas. And, just the way things worked out, I ended up running the Dallas office by January of that year. And we had our grand opening, we were hosting classes, and that's really when the Quest educational events in cities outside of Houston really took off. We expanded our Austin office after that. And I lived in Dallas for about 2 years, loved it up there, but, kind of just came time for me to move back to Houston, work at the corporate office. And it's been really, really awesome these past 2 years being back in Houston. I do a lot more public speaking. I get to help train our new hires. And I cannot believe that it's almost been 5 years. It's really, really wild.
It is crazy. You guys you're such a great team at
Mm-hmm.
Quest. I love the live events that we've been able to go to, and I'm always amazed at what a great team you have. Everybody I know that works there is just so amazing in what they know. Like Derek Long, I just love that guy. He keeps me rolling in the aisles and just so full of knowledge. It's just amazing. I remember the first time I met you, we were on a cruise and you were working with your parents. And I don't think your dad was on the cruise. You were there with your mom.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
yeah.
That was before you started with Quest. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't blame them for putting you on their radar.
That cruise was so much fun because it was actually, I had gotten the job at Quest, but I hadn't actually started yet. So I got to go and enjoy the cruise, hang out, meet everyone, but I didn't actually have to work at all, which was really nice. And the next cruise after that, I was actually a Quest employee and representative. So gosh, I miss those cruises. I'm so ready to get back to those in-person events.
That's awesome. Yeah, you and me both. And I think there's a lot of people that miss that for sure. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what else I'm also so impressed. What?
Let me step in here real quick. Take a breath.
Who are you?
So a couple of months after the cruise, I'm at a private money convention, and there's this whole table full of gentlemen with sport coats on that are made of dollar bills or $100 bills. So it's like, 5 or 6 guys with sport coats that were made out of money.
I remember that.
So anyway, the host of the show was so impressed. He asked them who the heck they were. And of course, your dad Eddie stood up and said, I'm Eddie Gant from Houston, Texas. And I went, oh my God, I was just on a cruise with his wife and daughter.
Yeah.
I have to go over and introduce myself and wonder if she's embarrassed about the suit.
Oh my gosh, those money suits. I will tell you what, the randomest people. I was actually like out at a bar in Houston one night and someone was like, oh, Jet Lending, the guys with the money suits. And I was like, how do you even know this? It still comes up in conversations to this day. People are like, oh, Eddie, the guy in the money suit, right?
That's right.
That's what you call branding. And I apologize if I keep going out here. Those who don't know, I'm at the airport and I'm having to use their Wi-Fi, and so Wendy's doing most of the talking.
And it's my first opportunity to be able to talk, because Bill usually doesn't take a breath, and I always have to try and dive in. So now when he's frozen, I can just keep talking and no one will ever know.
Yeah, we'll turn the tables on him.
That's right. So the other thing that I love about Quest, and I do these Wednesday with Wendy meetings, these 30-minute meetings that I do free mentorship, and I always tell people, first of all, they need to learn about self-directed IRAs, and it's so easy to send them to the Quest website and tell them to get on that resources page. Mm-hmm. And the education that you guys put out just blows my mind. I want you to talk about those after hours meetings. What do you call them? Mixers and things like that?
Yeah, the happy hours.
It's amazing. Talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our events that we host and our education is honestly one of my biggest passions in the last several years. I've really kind of molded my own role here at Quest to kind of be our business development person. So I work with our marketing team to help to put on all of these events and webinars, bringing in new guest speakers and keeping the content really fresh and exciting at the same time. So it can be of value to investors no matter where you might be across, the entire United States. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot of events, a lot of webinars every single week. And, because we firmly believe that if our clients are not educated about self-directed IRAs, about due diligence, about all of these things that are really important when you are not only investing your own funds, but when you're now investing your IRA funds, it's so important to have a base knowledge and to have everything kind of laid out in front of you where it's like, hey, as Quest, this is our role as your custodian, but as the client, this is your role, but here's how we're going to help you by hosting a lot of different educational events and pretty much recording everything educational that we host and posting it on our YouTube channel, kind of like what you guys are doing here, right?
Right.
So yeah, our events are really awesome. We host a really big Quest Expo, obviously pre-pandemic, but we have a really awesome event coming up. Actually next Friday, QuestCon Live Private Lending Edition. It's a full 2-day online self-directed IRA conference. And, not only are we really passionate about educating investors, but we understand the importance of also having a good ecosystem, a good community and network. So even though all of our events have moved online within the past year, we still actually host a lot of networking opportunities. For example, the night before QuestCon starts, I actually personally host a virtual networking happy hour for all of our attendees. In about 2 hours, you get to meet at least 50 other investors from across the US. And then we kind of open it up for conversations at the end. And, outside of that, I also host a very similar happy hour through Zoom twice a month. Actually, last night, it was really awesome. Quincy randomly joined the happy hour. I had no idea he was going to be there. I've never been nervous at my own event before until Quincy shows up. It was fun. He had a glass of wine with everyone. We hung out. We all made our introductions. And then we kind of talked about, some relevant investment topics as well. So, my biggest goal is to have our education reach as many people as possible and to have the idea of investing with a self-directed IRA actually becomes something that you are confident in, that you know how it works, you know about your different options. That way you can go out there and build wealth, not only through your own IRA, but, potentially through the use of other people's IRAs as well, and kind of revolving doors of private capital. There's so many different ways that you can benefit. And, I love it because it's like, I'm not out here like selling couches. I'm not over here trying to like meet a sales quota. we're actually educating about things that make a really big difference in people's lives. So, me kind of being young, being thrown into this industry, ended up running a Dallas office. I had no idea what I was doing. It's really cool to kind of have seen not just myself, but our entire team grow over the last several years. As our reach has grown, the company has grown. A lot of us, I've become an adult as I'm now working at Quest, almost 30 years old. It's a lot of fun, and we're very passionate about what we do. And I think that really comes across in the events and education that we put on.
Awesome.
Well, education is so important because the biggest hang up that most people have an IRA is that it is self-directed, and it is up to them to direct it. And the biggest problem is they're afraid to pull the trigger because they're not educated enough about the investment that they're in. And the education that you guys provide is really top-notch stuff. And it's not pushing anyone any particular direction. It's basically, here are the options. You have to decide what's the best investment for you based on what your outcome needs to be at what point and that type of thing.
Definitely. And I think it's really important too, because, we get a lot of people that they've never invested into real estate with their IRA before. Not only are they trying to learn about the different investment options, but if you try to do it by yourself, the chances of you being successful are much lower than if you're able to get connected with a reputable network. So, that's why we like working with you guys. We like working with Freedom Founders, groups that, as these investors come in, because Quest, we can't give investment advice. We cannot tell you what to invest in or how to structure your deal, but we can kind of point you in the right direction. We can, expose you to a lot of our different guest speakers and groups that we work with. That way you can have the other tools in your tool belt to go out there and apply this knowledge to your investments and then be successful because you have that network to kind of back you up.
Yeah, I think that's really important that you are able to just expose people to so many different options. We're sitting here talking about real estate, but you can use self-directed money in so many other ways. Even precious metals, and can you invest in cars, antique cars too?
So that's one of the few things that you cannot invest in. Anything that's considered a collectible. But it's funny, someone on the happy hour last night asked if they could buy an NFT in their IRA. And I don't know if you're familiar with those. I have my own opinion. I won't get into that. But, maybe investments that are a bit more tangible, which is why we're here in the first place, like real estate, notes, private placements are the three main categories. But once you break it down into those categories, there's so many different things that you can invest in with your IRA.
Yeah. Like some people buy houses with their self-directed IRAs.
Yes.
And go ahead.
Yeah. And, especially if you're buying real estate in an IRA, it's important to be aware of the rules because you do have to keep things, pretty much at arm's length. But all of that appreciation in your IRA is completely tax deferred or tax free, depending on what type of account you're investing with. Or if you want to be completely passive, be a private lender, invest passively into investment funds, multifamily, things like that. So you guys actually have a lot of great options as well if someone's looking to, really just maybe be a bit more passive with their funds.
Right. And I've seen people invest into LLCs as well. They invest in companies, and it's amazing what's out there for you to be able to choose from. Which is why I love your resources page, because you've got videos of like all of your interviews. Are they all up there?
Pretty much. We try to make our education as accessible as possible. A few events are paid because they're a larger scale production, but every class that we host, every interview that we do is on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube has almost doubled in size in the past year, so that's really exciting. And yeah, we just, we try to, because we can't tell people what to do, but we can say, hey, we did a YouTube video with this expert over this. Let me send this to you so you can have more resources and maybe get that education from someone who's an expert in that field.
Awesome. Awesome. Bill, did you have, he's muted. Are you muted on purpose? There you go.
No, Sharub did that to me because apparently it was too noisy back here.
That's why we have people behind the scenes to
That's
keep
right.
Bill quiet.
So,
So if,
just to add to all the different things that you can do with your IRA funds, I remember an IRA holder that was actually doing floor plan financing for buy here, pay here car lots. Right after the 2008 crash, they were having a really hard time getting their normal financing through the banks. And so he stepped in and was lending to like 4 different car dealerships, and it worked out very well. Now, keep in mind, you have to know what you're doing to do stuff like that. But, you know, as long as it's not collectibles, art, that kind of thing, if you know it, and that's the whole point of being in a self-directed account, is that you invest in something that you know about and you feel comfortable doing it. Because, you know, the stock market is supposed to be the end all be all, but most people don't know how it works, and they depend on third parties to manage your money. And this is a great way to manage your money. I wanted to make sure that we had the link to the QuestCon over there in the chat. And that's why I went away earlier, because I hit the little chat button to see if it was there, and I ended up taking myself completely out of the show.
Nice. And I'm not sure
sorry.
if you guys saw this, but I sent a link to the private chat. We actually, for everyone watching out there, both Bill and Wendy will be 2 of our guest speakers at QuestCon. And so we have a 30% off promo code set up for you guys. I know you have the tracking link, but a link that I sent in the private chat will actually automatically apply that 30% off discount. So it kind of saves people a step there. So yeah, I did send that if you guys want to maybe comment that from the main page.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Thank
you know,
Sharub.
I actually have an investor friend who used his self-directed IRA to purchase coin-op washing machines and dryers for his apartment complex. And he had a third-party company come out and empty it and send the payment into his self-directed IRA.
Yeah, I got to keep it hands off, right?
I know, yeah, but I thought, wow, what a great idea, because he had small dollar IRAs. He's thinking, what can I do with this? Well, I can buy some coin-op laundries. And it's amazing all of the things you can do with it. And you know, understanding about inheritable self-directed, it's just amazing. I can't get enough of it. I really can't get enough of it. And you guys do such a great job of sharing that information. And I'm really excited about having Derek. He's going to be on Sunrisers not this Friday, but next Friday, right before QuestCon. So we can talk more details about stuff you can do.
Yeah, give him all the hard questions.
One of the great things about these events that you do is the networking part. I know we already covered this, but it's very important. If you have a small IRA and you know, I don't have enough money to invest with, well, guess what? You're going to meet people there that you can invest with or alongside of. And that's just as important of getting the education is finding like-minded people to do business with.
True financial friends.
Yep, absolutely. Back to the cruise. All right. Haley, thank you so much for joining us. It was awesome. It's awesome to see you again, even though I saw you a couple of, I guess it was about a month ago, wasn't it?
All virtually, though. I can't wait to see you guys in person, hopefully sometime in the next few months.
That's right.
Yeah, eventually they'll open us up, but I am going to Texas where it's more or less open.
Oh yeah, Texas, we're ready to go.
I'm happy to do that.
South Carolina.
I still have my airport mask though. All right, so thanks again, folks, for joining us on the Passive Wealth Show. We are Carolina Capital Management. We do mortgage loans for real estate investors in the Southeast. If you're interested in borrowing money, go to our website, carolinahardmoney.com. Click on the Apply Now tab. And if you're a passive investor looking for passive returns, click on the Accredited Investor tab. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our show, and don't forget about that link that Sharu put over there in the chat to get on QuestCon with 30% off. It's very nice of them to do that. And we will see you guys next week. Off to Dallas.
That's right. Be safe, bro.
Thank you. Bye.